In the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, there was a boy named Joshua. Joshua was a young boy in his mid-20s. He loved God and was very dedicated in church. His friends and classmates mocked him because he was a church boy. In mockery, they called him names like church rat, brainwashed nonentity. The mockery and shame that Joshua suffered was so massive. This made Joshua weep sometimes, but he still held on to God and was still dedicated in church regardless. He had no friends. Nobody wanted to be friends with him. Joshua had great visions inspired by God. This vision kept him going because he understood that God is a God that rewards those who diligently seek him. His vision was to own an agricultural company to produce food items globally. But he had no capital, he had no connection, he had no sponsor. It was just him, his God, and his vision. He was faithfully believing God for a massive turnaround. Joshua was a very intelligent and smart guy. He always got high grades in his semester exams. Joshua's dream was to graduate with a first class or at least a second class. Joshua later got second class. He was so happy and grateful to God even though he did not make first class. Unknown to Joshua, Professor Dennis had been monitoring his life since he was on campus. Let me tell you a little about Professor Dennis. Professor Dennis was an old professor in Joshua's faculty. He was a very rich man, but he was very stingy. He was a popular professor on campus. He drove a very old golf car, and students fondly called him Professor Denny Golf. This Professor Denny Golf called Joshua to his office and narrated how he had been monitoring Joshua, and also told him that he knows that students mock him for being dedicated in church. So he offered to help Joshua. He asked Joshua, "Young man, what can you offer to your society?" So Joshua narrated his vision inspired by God to Professor Dennis. Professor Dennis commended Joshua for such a brilliant idea. So Professor Dennis gave Joshua the sum of 1 million naira to start this vision. He also told Joshua to return the 1 million naira after 1 year. He said this not because he wanted Joshua to pay back, but he wanted to know if Joshua would be able to make 1 million naira after 1 year from his business. Joshua was so happy and overwhelmed by this huge miracle. This money is coming from a man who would hardly buy a sachet of pure water for anybody, including his family. Surely God can make a way where there is no way. After 1 year, Joshua, by the help of God, was able to make 2.1 million 36,000 naira as profit. Professor Dennis was so proud of Joshua. So Professor Dennis gave Joshua 1 million naira extra to add to the previous one and told him not to bother paying back. Joshua was overwhelmed by this. He was so much inspired and motivated. Joshua is now one of the richest men in Nigeria. See what God can do. With God, all things are possible. Follow Jesus and he will make a way for you where there is no way. If you want to surrender your life to Jesus, check description below. God bless you.